Kia ora, welcome to another review of a LEGO Lord of the Rings set. This here is set 79007 Battle at the Black Gate, which originally released in 2013 as part of the second and final wave in the LEGO Lord of the Rings line. 656 pieces and a total of 5 minifigures, with 3 of them being exclusive to this set. Very nice, retailing for 130 NZD at the time. The set now goes for around $550 sealed or $300 in used condition. And the set overview here for this Black Gate set is a scene depicted not necessarily in the theatrical cut, but actually the extended edition, which many fans do consider to be the definitive way to watch these beasts of films. The Battle of the Black Gate scene does still occur in the theatrical cut of the film, but this set here showcases the meeting of the mouth of Sauron, so it's one of the only examples of a LEGO set that I can think of that's based on deleted material. The main build of the gate here is pretty cool, though some changes have been made here to make this both an affordable set with an interesting build. The biggest difference here is the scale of the gate. As we can see here from the reference material, it appears to be a very long gate with 2 towers at the ends and then another wall that connects it to the mountainside. LEGO actually designed this set with the idea of combining in mind, because you could actually buy another Black Gate set and conjoin it on at the end here to make an accurate long gate with both towers. You do miss those side walls though. While making the set smaller by only including 1 tower in the build, they also squash the doors in and make it that this chunk of the build is actually 2 doors, not one giant one like seen in the movie. So if you were to buy 2 of these sets, you would actually have 4 doors together in total, unless you rebuilt or did something different here. I could be wrong though. I'm under the assumption here that LEGO does want you to just conjoin a second set here, which makes the length accurate to the movie, yes, but it also adds an unnecessary amount of openings. I really like the Mordor aesthetic that we got so little of in the sets overall. The really sharp blade pieces really draw attention to the models when on display next to your Hobbit Hole and Helm's Deep sets. On the sides we have these small little rock-like structures, different on each side, which I do really appreciate. One side is a lot bigger than the other, and these both connect via Technic bricks into these slots. If you really wanted to, you could also just connect them together for one giant rock, and if you did have 2 of the sets, you'd ultimately have 2 of each rock build. The Black Gate was always one of my favorites when I was younger, something about really nice intimidating designs. It just looks really evil and reminiscent to me of the really early LEGO Castle and Knight's Kingdom themes. The villains all having dark evil fortress type sets was really appealing for toy form. The tower is the one unique part of this build here, lots of sharp pieces on display, and these parts do continue over the gate itself. Up top we have a catapult and some more rubber-like sharp spike pieces, used a lot in the DC and Ninjago lines. The interior of the set here actually offers a few areas for play. It was pretty fun to rediscover this while I was rebuilding. Sticking with the tower here, we do have a small little dungeon-like area with a skull on the floor. The area also has a small little secret entranceway which you could open by pressing on the switch here. It opens this little door out front. The next room is pretty simple, it's just a small little standing area with some ammo for the catapult up top. We also have some standing room here on the gate for our characters and some miscellaneous items like a bucket for storage. And as for the ground level, there's some standing room here, but this is mostly left empty for the doors to be able to swing open. We do have items like spears hanging up for the orcs if they need to quickly go and grab a weapon. Some more standing room up top as well, and more items of intrigue. We have another skull, a bottle, and a torch. The opening mechanism for the gate is a pretty cool feature. You just open it by turning this knob and the gate can open up like so. It's a rather old set now, so the part isn't as smooth as it once was in 2013, but the rickety sounds do feel like they belong here in a way. This could have very easily been a simple open and close gimmick, but the feature of a locking mechanic really takes this further for me in its overall design. The gap here is really big as well, enough to fit minifigures and horses and trolls. If you had the other sets like the ballista from the Uruk-hai army set, I can see this being a really fun display piece for all sorts of figures and battles. But speaking of figures, we now get to move on to the exciting exclusive characters. This here is Aragorn, who is finally a new figure for our overall collection. This is him in his Gondor armor for the final battle. It's great to finally have a brand new figure, though he isn't perfect. It's the same head and hairpiece as the other Aragorns that we've got, and even the same sword, which is the real issue for me here. He really needed to have a specially molded piece here, especially since they gave us a fancy piece for Sting. I love the torso detailing that he has, and the double-sided cape is just excellent here as well. Double-sided printing on the torso if we remove that cape. This is Gandalf the White, easily my favorite minifigure of the set, and I can't believe he was made an exclusive. Gandalf here actually borrows a few pieces from the Sauron figure who was released in the same wave. He uses the exact same beard and hairpiece, but with some extra grey printing on it instead. This piece is also a rubber-like material as opposed to the hard plastic that the Gandalf the Grey figure had. Gandalf here features a white cape that, if not taken care of, can turn yellow over the years, just awful business, and he uses the generic staff piece, which is just a simple white staff. There's no fancy moulding on here. A bit of a shame, it would have been nice to have seen something fancy here. Removing the cape and the hairpiece, we can see printing underneath the torso and on the back here as well. I believe the headpiece is still the same one used for every other Gandalf minifigure who was at this time being released in many of the Hobbit sets. This is the Mouth of Sauron, who I think is the most sought after figure of the set. I figured it would have been Gandalf honestly, but this figure's value is still currently set at 150 in brand new condition compared to Gandalf's 80 odd. The novelty of him being a deleted scene character definitely has a lot to do with this, as well as the interesting parts that he uses, a rubber-like material used for his helmet, and this was one of the closest things that we got to a Sauron minifigure back in the initial waves. Really nice printing for the torso and blackened robes. He's the third figure here to also have a cape. He uses the same sword as Aragorn but in a gunmetal grey colour because he's evil. Underneath that helmet we can see a better look at the scary face print, which is actually just of a mouth with no eyes period, printing on the back as well. It's really fascinating. I could definitely see this being used for a really cool Nightmare Batman custom figure. The LEGO Middle-earth line also featured mini horses that were very special for these releases. The horses featured articulation that allowed for both movements in the neck and also the legs, which allowed for some really cool poses like this. These horses were released in many of the sets across the theme, and they eventually branched out into other lines as well. And while we're on the subject of specially molded animals, this is the eagle inclusion, which was a really cool addition to the line that also made its way into the Hobbit sets. They were able to release this guy in quite a few of the Middle-earth sets in total. The eagles here use a brand new mold for the body and the head. The wings are the only parts that can separate away. The eagle has 4 studs on the back, which can fit a minifigure on top. The eagle can also stand on the usual studded surface, taking up 4 studs in total. This is our Mordor Orc, who we've actually looked at already on this channel before. The Mordor Orcs, in my personal opinion, are my favourite Orc minifigures. I just really like the look of those dull colours compared to the red Uruk-hai, less likely to break as well, these guys. The Mordor Orc is considered to be an exclusive, which I think is ridiculous. It is the exact same Mordor Orc released in every other set, but this guy has an Uruk-hai helmet on, which was also released in plenty of other sets. If I remove that helmet away from that Orc, we get to see some of that design underneath, which has a really nice expression and some strands of hair on the back of the head as well, or possibly wounds or markings of some kind, I'm not too sure. And tricked you, this is actually the second Orc minifigure that we get in the set, just to show you how these guys are genuinely the exact same minifigure as one another. The Battle of the Black Gate is a really interesting set. I do think that the shaping here and overall design is really great. It's very recognizable to me, being based on the Return of the King and all. I've always thought that the bad guy stuff in movies just had really great aesthetics that translate into toys really well compared to some of the hero stuff. We didn't get too much in the LEGO Lord of the Rings line for Mordor, so it is cool to have what we do have, and I'm not against buying multiple sets of these for an accurate build, as long as this one does work on its own as well. I actually think that this works really well as a standalone piece, just because I think those extra doors would kind of bother me. To improve on this set, I don't mind the squash nature if we actually got a second tower for the other side. It removes the idea of combining 2 sets, but maybe they should have just worked more on the army builder side then if they really wanted me to go out and buy another set. I don't really see much of a battle here with 2 Mysic soldiers and 3 named characters. Excellent minifigures though regardless of this, but I don't personally need doubles of Gandalf, Aragorn and Mouth of Sauron's. If you enjoyed this look at an older LEGO Lord of the Rings set, consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. It helps to support us making more videos like this one in the future. Ka kite anō, we hope to see you next time.